you'll take a question and then 5 questions later, all of a sudden it'll come to you and be like, oh wait, well, what was I thinking? Obviously it is going to be answer choice C, not answer choice B. And so just knowing that option is always available to you to just go back really quickly and change really helps take off some of the pressure.
First things, you took the GMAT focus in person, right?
I took it online.
Oh, you took it online. Okay.
I took it online.
Got it. So I guess like walking in or virtually walking in,
Okay.
what was your first impressions, like how the GMAT focus online experience go?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. Of course, you spend so much time building up towards this day, and you've been thinking about it so much, you've been working towards it so much that when it actually does come, it is, of course, nerve-wracking. And so I found that it was really helpful to do it from my own room, the one that I'd been preparing in. And so taking it online was really nice for that. It helped kind of calm the nerves a little bit going into it. But yeah, I remember sitting down at the desk, getting everything ready, meeting my proctor, who was going to be with you throughout your test taking experience if you are doing it online. And so hopped on a Zoom call with my proctor, had a nice little chat about what the day was going to sort of look like, made sure my systems passed all the requirements, made sure everything in my room was all good, and then, started the test. I really do enjoy the fact that you get to pick which order you would like to take the test, in the sense that I chose to go quant, then verbal, then data insights, and having that sense of control on the actual test day did also help kind of calm the nerves a little bit. But when it came time to actually start taking the test, because I was able to do so many practice tests beforehand, it went by, you kind of just enter the zone. You forget to be stressed or worried because you're too busy focusing on the questions in front of you. And if you do the practice tests the free practice tests that they give you, and if you utilize all the resources available to you on the Magoosh platform, honestly, it was great. I felt really prepared. There wasn't anything on there that I felt I had never seen before or was completely out of left field. And so I felt pretty good during the actual test taking process because I was able just to fall back on all of those systems that I had built up through using the Magoosh platform, through taking all of those practice tests. And so, you just enter the zone a little bit. And ultimately, at the end, it's just this huge wave of relief. You're finally done. And getting that unofficial score right at the end, so you don't have to worry at all about, waiting 2 weeks to know how you did, is really nice as well. You take the test, it's 2.5 hours, and then you're done and you get to relax.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is that different from the SAT, ACT days?
Yeah, I remember that week and a half of just sitting there biting my fingernails, waiting to see, which colleges I'd able to go to, essentially. So this is a lot less nerve-wracking, which is really nice.
And did you feel like the shorter time frame helped with your focus? Like, was it noticeable for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt that with the shorter time frame, and especially not having to write a full essay, because I remember that being one of the most difficult parts for me for when I did take the SATs beforehand, was you would go through this massive test and be completely spent and then have to write an essay at the end. So the Focus Edition being shortened down into just 3 45-minute sections, where with a 10-minute break, you get a lot of flexibility in what works for you in terms of test taking, which is really nice. You get to choose which sections you would like to do first, and you get to choose whether you would like to take your 10-minute break either after the first section or after the section. And so all of those things combined meant that with the shortened time frame, not only are you able to get a lot more control over your test taking process and over the day of your test taking, which really helps kind of calm the nerves a little bit, but also you have fewer amount of questions in order to show that you really know what you're talking about and that, to really prove yourself. However, it's really nice that then the adaptive nature of the test really shines through in that way, because it's a shorter test, 2.5 hours, shorter than the SAT, and you are able to get a pretty accurate gauge as to where your abilities lie through the adaptive nature of the test. And so I think going into it, you have to focus for a short amount of time, but it still gives a very valid result. And so I'm a huge fan of the focus edition being shorter. Plus, just means that you get your results quicker, which are always nice as well.
So did you feel more pressure knowing that the questions counted for more, given like that it was shortened down?
I think it was on the back of my mind a little bit. But once again, the nice thing was just being able to prep for it. I didn't necessarily think of it in the sense that like, oh, this is a shorter test and therefore every single question matters more, because the vast majority of the time that I'd been studying for the focus edition. So I always knew it was going to be like that. So once again, just practice and giving yourself enough time will mean that you're far more confident on the day. And, just a lot of the smaller things like making sure that you have that practice in, getting good sleep the night before, all of that really does come together to mean a lot to make sure that you're in the best mental space you can possibly be for when you're actually taking the test. Because like you said, it's a short test. It tends that a lot of people can feel a sense of increased pressure as a result of it being a short test. So you really want to make sure that you are well rested, that you're calm, that you've got good nutrition, all that fun stuff when the actual day of the test comes, because then you're able to better focus for that 2.5 hour stretch. Ultimately, I think that it wasn't less pressure. I think it was more so just, I was grateful for the ability to just focus in on the sections that I felt that I prepared for and done the best in. And so if anything, it was taking the pressure off a little bit, knowing that I was just focusing in on things that I knew and things that I had practiced extensively.
Did you use that new feature where they allow you to change questions at the end of the section? I think up to 3 per section.
Yes, I absolutely love that change. Not that I'm sure many of us will be having that much extra time at the end of each section because they go by fast. But it's great it just gives you such a nice peace of mind to know that you can come back and change it later. It also really helps with time management on the test. When I was doing the tests beforehand for the original GMAT, when I was practicing for that, I remember going through each question and having that temptation to spend a lot more time double checking, triple checking answers, because you know that you aren't able to come back and fix them, when most of the time, trust your gut instinct and that'll work out best for you. And so the nature of this new test, being able to go back and change a few of your answers, is fantastic for that, because you will be spending 30% less time per question, knowing that, okay, I can just go with what my gut is telling me. I can go for the correct answer, or what I believe to be the correct answer. And if I really am not sure, I can just flag this question and come back to it later. And so most of the time, I found that I was able, as a result of being able to go back and check answers, I was going through each of the sections quicker, and then also able to go back and see how I did going through each question a little bit quicker. And I found that I was getting a lot of them right. Just, trusting that initial instinct most of the time ends up being the correct thing to do. And then you won't likely need, with the adaptive nature of the test, a lot of the time you'll only need to go back and change a few questions, in the sense that there'll be a few ones that are maybe standing out to you as big ones that you can go back and change. But for the most part, it helps speed up the testing process in general. It allows you to be less attached to each individual question, which helps with the overall flow of the test taking process, as well as it often happens, you'll take a question and then 5 questions later, all of a sudden it'll come to you and be like, oh wait, well, what was I thinking? Obviously it is going to be answer choice C, not answer choice B. And so just knowing that option is always available to you to just go back really quickly and change really helps take off some of the pressure that you might be feeling as a result of a shorter time frame.
So it's sort of a mental shift for you.
Yeah.
It's like that piece.
For me, it was just having that almost like as a safety net was very helpful in kind of the mindset that I took towards taking the test. Absolutely.
Awesome.